when we are graduating, dad's not here. That's super weird. When we recently got married, it was a lot of talks of like, okay, both of our dads aren't here. How do we honor them? How do we kind of make this day special for us, but also like a nice memory for them too?
Hey everybody, it's Blake Gaines here with Concerns of Police Survivors. I'm the multimedia manager for National C.O.P.S. Today with me, I've got Gabby and Wyatt Woodrell. They're both surviving adult children. Thank you for joining me, guys.
Thank you for having us.
Absolutely. So we're going to kind of jump into kind of a relationship that started through the C.O.P.S programs and kind of built outside of, obviously the platform that what is National C.O.P.S and some of the services and programs that we have offered and you guys have both attended. Kind of talk to me a little bit about that. I mean, how'd you guys meet?
So we met at C.O.P.S Kids Camp when we were about 9 years old. We were sitting on the park benches, and then we had disagreements about athletes that we liked and disliked based off of where we were from. And so then that's how it all kind of began. And then from there, we did outward bound trips together, and then continued on until now we're mentoring together.
Gabby, what's your recollection of that? Is it similar? Is he just like, he's way out there? He's
definitely similar. We had some disagreements about, we're both from different Clevelands. So every time we'd see each other at camp, we would fight over who has the better Cleveland. And that's kind of how we started talking. And then from there, just knowing each other for like so many years at this point after going to camp, then outward bound, and at outward bound, really just leaning on your people there to survive the week of it's always the most amazing week, but you definitely have to lean on your people to get through it. And yeah, now going back as mentors together at the camp where we met is just so cool.
All right. So kind of leading up to even, precursor to that, kind of, can you kind of describe, your officer and kind of some of the, maybe your loss, if you would?
My loss is my dad, Wayne Leon, was killed in the line of duty in June of 2000. He was shot and killed in the line of duty. And so the surviving family is now my mom, me, and my two brothers.
My loss would be my father, Wyatt Woodrell, who was shot and killed in the line of duty in 2001. And then my surviving family would also be my mother, two brothers, and sister.
Okay. And those are kind of, also building blocks. And when they kind of found out, obviously you guys met through camp and you kind of probably watched you guys kind of blossom together. What was kind of some of their feedback, outside looking in?
I'd say it helped for me too that my sister also married someone from camp. And so it wasn't a unique experience in our situation. And so I don't remember any direct feedback.
For sure. I think it definitely kind of just like pulled back a layer in general of the fact that, this situation doesn't happen to a lot of families, but it happened to the both of ours. And then just to find this connection through that too, I think whenever like my immediate family or like my extended family too, is just like, it's amazing that you guys found each other like this, and that, it was such a support that we were like, this is the person we want to spend forever with, just because we know this person since we were children and they were just so kind and supportive, and we're like, we just want to stick with that forever.
Right. And kind of talk about, if you can kind of dive into that or, that type of support, because like you said, I mean, it's not the same as maybe, somebody from the outside looking in, being able to provide, some of that type of encouragement and, those kind of things. So what does that look like? I mean, having somebody who knows not exactly, but similar to what you're going through.
So I think it's something I was even really thinking about this earlier today when I was while we hit so many different milestones, you have someone next to you who understands that same exact thing. And sometimes we talk about it, sometimes it's just that like unspoken situation that we kind of don't dive into, but it's one of those moments like, well, shoot, that stinks that dad's not here. But just having someone who understands it as well, people can always empathize, but it's so different to be going through something similar as well. So even, when we are graduating, dad's not here. That's super weird. When we recently got married, it was a lot of talks of like, okay, both of our dads aren't here. How do we honor them? How do we kind of make this day special for us, but also like a nice memory for them too? It's definitely complex every time that like there's a big milestone coming up, but having someone who has experienced something so similar by your side just makes it easier to lean on someone too.
That pretty much sums it all
up. Smart man, right? Smart man. No, yeah. And basically your paths crossing at kids camp, it's, you kind of touched on it before, you guys have came back as mentors, but what made you want to come back and like kind of give back to the children that attend?
I started wanting to come back to kids camp. I was in college. I was maybe around 19 or 20. And then I just felt it come on me. I was like, oh, it's something I need to do. So I reached out to C.O.P.S and was like, what do I have to do? And they're like, well, you have to be 21 first of all. So I said, okay. And they said, call back when you're 21. So I called back the next year and said, hey, this is something I want to do. Kids camp, one of the impacts on me, besides obviously the week being around the kids that have gone through similar loss to you, doing the counseling sessions there. One of my other big main impacts though was the mentors that I had there, and mentors that are still going to camp to this day. And I just felt like when I was being a young camper at camp, I always had those mentors to look up to and lean on. And so I felt that through life I could go and be a mentor like they were and give hope and help to somebody else who may need it in the future. And so that's why I started coming back to camp as a mentor.
I had very similar experiences too. When I was at camp, I just remember like the friendships that you make there last a lifetime. And again, it's just like those memories during summer that of everything that happened at camp that we still look back and laugh on. I feel like the entire school year was just a countdown to C.O.P.S Kids Camp, and we would all have like big group messages. We'd all be texting each other. I had like pen pals from camp, and it was just so cool that like all my friends growing up would ask, like, how do you have friends that live in like all over the country from all these different states? And they could just tell there was such like a deep connection there too, that it wasn't just like a surface level friendship. These were people you could ask anything to, and they could really give you like love and support when you needed it. And I just remember those friendships and how they still continue today, and how much I just adore the people that I went to camp with. And it's just so special to go back, and I love seeing those friendships happening and knowing like they can lean on each other for years and years to come. But it's really cool to be in a position where there are older people there who have been through something similar, because when we were at camp, I don't think we really had anything like that. So it's kind of cool to see like, okay, that like, in a few years, like these kids could be coming back there as mentors too. And I think like that's just a super cool full circle kind of thing to see.
Right. We hear all the time, like, and even like as a staff member, being able to go, like I have them as well, like your aha moments. Like, do you experience that? Is that something that makes you, fuels you to come back and like keep returning?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, just throughout the week at all, you'll make these connections and have these moments with the kids, and you're like, aha, like, all right, this is why we're here. This is why we're helping these kids, and this is what we're doing. And I think it's good because, like she said, when we started going to camp, it was always just random staff from the camp. And next year, you'd go back and it'd be a totally new group of random staff. And so there never really was any chance to like make a connection with the kids and help build them up through that, which we've got now.
All right, what about you, Gabby? I mean, did you have those moments throughout the week?
For sure. I think every year we come back, it's like a full year of so many different life things happening. And I remember this year I was like, Wyatt, what if like these little kids who last year we loved on all week and we made such connections with, I was like, what if they don't even remember us? I feel like, oh gosh, like that's unfortunate. But just being there every time the buses come rolling in with the escorts, I get tearful. It's always so powerful. And then seeing those like huge smiles of kids coming off the bus who have been there before and how they're all hugging on each other, just like missing each other. Then you can see like the newer families who look a little bit nervous or like, what did I get myself into? And I think like initially seeing how everyone just like is engulfed in love and support there, I think every year that's always been my moment of like, this is why we come back. Like, this is just, you're here for that love, that support, and everyone is going to find it there too, which is just such an awesome thing.
Going on from there, I mean, you guys are also contributing to C.O.P.S in a different way, not just mentoring, not just giving back for that, but you guys now ride LEU together. Like, can you kind of describe what is that experience not only the ride itself, but then having, your significant other there with you to just experience like the whole circle of everything basically?
The ride is definitely tough. Always. We always look forward to it every year, of course. It's a tough ride. It's a tough few days. It does help a lot to have my significant other there with me, because when it gets like discouraging, I can just look at her and she'll be like, get it together. And then I can continue through the ride. At the end of the ride, coming in and everyone being there supporting you is another reminder of this is why we're doing this. I mean, we do it for kids camp, the Officer Down Memorial page. The other two are blanking in my head right now. So we do it for all these reasons too, and just which are long-term reasons, and to come in and see immediately like all the people who have probably donated to the ride and they come in and watch you ride in, people you're riding for. And so it's always very rewarding at the end.
I think it's super special too that I have done the New Jersey LEU ride, and it's kind of special because when you're at camp, you're mostly with survivors there. There's like a few law enforcement personnel mixed in too. But with Law Enforcement United, I feel that like such a big chunk of the people who participate are just strictly law enforcement. So it's cool that some of these people who have not even lost a coworker, a loved one in the line of duty, that they want to be able to give back to, and they're a part of that. So on the ride, there were a lot of police officers and a few survivors. And it was really nice to have Wyatt there to, support. And even though he told me that it wouldn't be that hard, and then all of a sudden, day one, I was like, what have you roped me into? But it was really nice to have someone to lean on, being like, oh gosh, like, this is getting tough out here. But then, him reminding like, but this is why we're doing this. Like, it's for the kids, it's for our dads, it's all the good things. And having other survivors there too. Like Lynn Perry was our ride mom, we would call her, because we were always leaning on her and she was always looking out for us too. So it's super cool to kind of have that experience and to raise money for the camp that we have loved when we were kids and love coming back to now as well.
And kind of like full circle here, like what would you say to kind of, summarize all this and kind of finish up here? Like, what would you say to youth that are coming into kids camp, and what you're going to get out of the relationships that you build there?
I think that through the relationships, the friendships that you can build at camp, I think that you can get lifelong friends. I think that these friendships can carry you through really tough times, gives you people to lean on who know what you're going through as they've gone through something similar. And that's something that's so difficult to find. So that just makes camp so special, that people are going through something alongside you. And while every situation is so different, they can still love on you and support you through it, just as you do the same for them.
And I think to kind of build on that too, especially when it's your first year at camp, it's a scary experience going into. You're going to a summer camp with a bunch of people you don't know.
Mm-hmm. And especially it's hard too when you're like, okay, I'm coming in, all these people are friends. They're all,
And you're pretty fresh off your loss. Usually your first year at camp, for the most part, you're within the last year or year and a half or two. So it's a scary experience. But I think once you go and get immersed into it, by the second or third day at camp, it's like everyone clicks so well together. It's like you've known these people at the camp forever. So I think definitely every child that has a parent within that age range definitely needs to go to camp, and they won't regret it.
Mm-hmm.
One of the things I think is so magical is not the word, but in a sense it is not that the other retreats do not have this, because they certainly do, but watching kids, all the way through that age, that age group right there, there's no recollection of why or how your parent died in the line of duty, right? That doesn't matter. It's just the fact of we're all here together. We all have, a similar situation, and just the support that happens there is just, it's amazing to see. It just, again, that there's no, comparison or anything like that. It's just, what can we do to kind of lean on each other and like kind of support and, just go through the week itself. It's so awesome to see.
For sure. I think it's so cool that with C.O.P.S Kids Camp, it's a week during the year where everyone is on like an even field, everyone has lost someone, everyone's missing someone, everyone is hurting. But once kind of everyone is, in that similar situation, it feels like it's almost like a chance where you could just be a kid as well. And of course, C.O.P.S Kids Camp comes with like the counseling that's built in, but also there's just so many fun activities there too that make it that you're just able to have like a fun summer as well. And I think that's so important, that when you're all there and all kind of suffering that same loss, it takes away that layer and it just kind of lets you be a kid.
Absolutely. I think that's well said and perfectly said. Again, thank you guys for coming on here with me. We look forward to speaking with you again in the future.
Thank you
for having us.